Welcome to Becoming Epic, the podcast for the ones who are counted out, the ones who've been knocked down more times than they can count, but still get back up one more time. This isn't for the perfect. This is for the underdogs, the misfits with big hearts, the ones chasing purpose, not permission. Here, we don't just talk about success. We talk about grit, discipline, heart. We talk about the courage it takes to rebuild yourself when no one is clapping. Because becoming epic, it's not a destination. It's a decision made daily. So if you're tired of the average, the excuses, the same old story, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Adam Berezowski, and this is Becoming Epic. Let's wake the warrior in you, and let's fucking go.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Where am I?
You're in there. Welcome back to Becoming Epic podcast. My name is Adam Berezowski, and I am pumped today. I know, isn't it super awkward? Because it's like you feel like you're talking to people, but there's actually nobody over there.
Yeah.
Try doing it by yourself. It's freaking weird.
Well, you manage.
I make it look easy. Yeah, right.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, so I told you guys that I am excited. I'm going to be bringing on a bunch of guests because I believe that other people's journeys play a huge role in other people's motivations. And Amanda, who I'll let her introduce herself in a minute, not only is an amazing person, but she's now a coach here at my gym. And her story is just mind-blowing. And so this is Amanda. I'll let you introduce yourself, kind of a little bit of your backstory, and we'll just run it.
Just roll. Just have a chat.
Just have a chat.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hi. Well, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, this is
It's
so
exciting.
fun. Yeah, isn't it?
This audio is killer. This is like a fully professional setup.
I know my daughter likes to play with all these buttons, and I think one of them is like hand claps. So like when you push it, it claps.
Oh.
So it's like an
I'm
audience.
going to need to know where that one is.
Yeah, I don't know which one it is. I'll figure it out.
Okay.
All right, this is Amanda.
Hi. Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been part of this epic experience for like a year and a half now, I think.
Has it really been that long?
Yeah. I think I came for the first time in December of 2023.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And I came here because some of my clients had come over here.
Yeah. Well,
And
I'll let you tell that story because
Okay.
I take a lot of pride in that story of
Okay.
why your clients were here.
yeah, so I've been a trainer for 20 plus years, off and on. I've done other things, taken hiatus from training here and there and done totally different lines of work, but I always came back to training because I love it so much. And I had most recently a business called Tribe Fitness, which is interesting because you call your people
The Epic Tribe.
the tribe, right?
Yep.
I had started training again after I had my second child, or when I was pregnant with my daughter, and I was working full time at a 9-to-5 job, and I was kind of miserable, and I had this like vision of like I'd love to train again and make it about women and moms and have childcare and like run it out of my house basically. So that's where Tribe Fitness came about. And I was doing that for maybe 5 or 6 years, and it was super fun and definitely a highlight of my, early days as a mother raising kids, and made a lot of good relationships with a lot of women. And then, my husband and I got this wild idea when I was pregnant, fast forward with my fourth child, and we were going to move from California to Tennessee, as people do.
Literally the only reason why I lose business right now is because people are moving to Tennessee.
Yeah.
But if I am going to start another gym, it's going to be in a specific area.
We talked about that, remember?
I did, yeah.
So anyway, we sold the house that I was running my business out of, and, moved to a temporary place. And in that interim, my clients didn't have anywhere to go. And a couple of them, I think it was Melissa,
Yeah.
because she's the go-getter of the group, right?
The ringleader. For
She's
sure.
like, I am not going to be without a gym. So she found Epic and she started coming here. And then slowly but surely, a few more of my clients started coming over. And then they were like, you have to come over here. I was like, I haven't been in a gym in 10 years. And, my pride, my ego, I can't, so I can't go work out with my clients like a common person. No,
You
I'm just
can't
kidding.
be the client with
Yes.
your clients.
So I got over it though, and I came here and I loved the classes, loved Adam, loved the trainers. And Adam takes credit for this, but a few months later, we kind of decided we weren't going to move to Tennessee. And Adam says it's because of him.
Yep.
And because of the magnetic appeal of Epic Fitness.
Well, it's funny because we'll tell your story about like the house thing, because I think that's a pretty big important thing. The fact that you ended up in
the same house
that you were in.
That's so weird. Yeah. So we lived in Moore Park when I had when my oldest was a baby, and then a few years later, we bought this big, beautiful house in Santa Rosa Valley and fixed it up. I had 2 more kids there. And so many kids, 2 more kids there.
So crazy.
And, when we sold the house in, preparation to move to Tennessee, and just by sheer coincidence ended up back in the same exact house in Moore Park that we'd lived in before the Santa Rosa house. And we hadn't owned it the whole time. It's like, it just all came about where my husband had a client who was looking to purchase a house to use as an income property. And it was right at the same time that we were looking for a short-term rental, because in, the interim between moving from Santa Rosa to Tennessee, supposedly at the time, this house came on the market and my husband's client bought it and we were her first tenants. And it was the same house that we'd lived in, 5 years earlier.
So all I can say is when things like when the people say the stars align, I always say it's when Mercury's in retrograde, because that's everybody's excuse. Oh, Mercury's in retrograde when everybody's going crazy. So Mercury was in retrograde for the exact moment that you ended up back at this house.
Totally.
You're staying here.
Yep.
You became a client.
Yep.
And now you're a coach here.
And now I'm a coach. I couldn't help myself.
Yeah.
It's like, after a while, I was like, I got to get in here.
Well,
I got to boss people around.
Yeah, for sure. But also doesn't help that most of your clients are most of my 9 o'clock class, among other classes. But definitely the right vibe. We got the same type of clientele base across all my platforms.
100%.
Which has been awesome. But I think a lot of people connect with you just on your story alone. You're a mother of 4, which is crazy. You've been in and out of jobs, working 9 to 5s. You've owned a business. You continue to do it. And I think where I've learned most people get stuck is they feel like they just don't have enough time. And, you were in my class, last week, and you brought all 4 of your kids. I mean, granted, it was like herding cattle, but.
And it was.
But.
Thank God everybody who was in that class was cool.
Yeah. But. It's it was late. It's 6:45 at night. And most parents will be like, oh no, I can't let my kids do that. Da, 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 da. But in my opinion, you're actually doing your kids a service, because yes, they might not want to send in a gym at that young of an age, but you're going to get your workout in general. And I feel like that's the number one excuse for all parents, that it's oh, I don't have time. My kids schedule this, my kids schedule that. And your kids play baseball. Your kids are in gymnastics. And you have, he's not a newborn anymore, but what is he, 2?
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Giant 2-year-old.
Big head. I call him Big Head because he has a big head. And he always gives me a nasty look every time I call him Big Head.
Because he knows.
He does know. But it's incredible. But I think your journey is why people connect. And I think all of the coaches, not just here at Epic, but all people that have a connection with a coach is due to having a connection to their story.
Sure.
And I feel most people with you, I think you're fairly open with a lot of your journey. So now let's talk about your journey into fitness, right? I know we've had conversations about, addiction and among other things. So I'd love to have
Sure.
you go down that road. Because I think, whether if it's a substance or whatever, people feel like, I don't know, they're kind of stuck in this position, and you have found your way out. So
yes, it's a good way of putting it for sure. Sure. Yeah, I am pretty open. Because I feel like, in my experience, when I've shared my story with 99% of people, they have been supportive. And a lot of times, somebody will come back to me and say, I have this problem, and or somebody I love has this problem, and then I can help that person or get them to somebody who can help them. So so I got into fitness. I liked work. I was kind of gotten into fitness in high school. I learned to lift weights and stuff like that at the gym or whatever. And then I went to I went to college, and in my probably starting my early teens, we'll back up, early teens, first experience with experimenting, as they call it, with alcohol and other substances. And from the, a lot of people just kind of, that's sort of like experimental, or, just a phase that some kids go through or whatever. But I look back now, and, I participated in that like an addict from the get-go. And I didn't know it at the time. I thought I was just having fun. I kind of thought, everybody else, my little group of girlfriends who were starting to get into this stuff, that we were like all the same, and some of them I was similar to, some not, but I never ever imagined that it would take me to the place that it eventually did. And I, I'm fortunate. I was able to get out of my addiction at an early age, which at the time did not sound like a gift. It sounded like a death sentence.
Amen.
Like, I'm 22 and I guess I can't have fun ever again. And so, I'm kind of all over the place, but I had about a 10-year run with drugs and alcohol from my teenage years into college. And, for a while I was just like a party girl, and it was on the weekends in high school, and wouldn't really carry over into anything else. And then, then I went to college, probably the summer between high school and college. And I had decided to go to this big party school up in Northern California, where, like, at the time, I think it was like Playboy's #1 party school in the nation. I mean, it was insane. And of course, so that's where I was going to go. And that summer between high school and college, I kind of crossed a few more lines that I never thought I would, like started getting into some harder drugs. And then, I mean, how raw do you want to get here?
As raw as you're willing to do that. Let's roll it.
I don't know. The consequences were getting more severe. And I crashed a car. Couple weeks later, crashed another car.
Holy crap.
Just wild, out of control. Didn't know that I don't know. At the time, I didn't know that I was like an actual alcoholic.
Yeah.
I mean, who thinks you're an alcoholic at the age
you're
of
young,
17,
everybody
18?
Else. Yeah.
So, major consequences started happening. And then, I went to college. And then, so it was like, it took a few years, and I kind of held it together. I was up there. I was, like supporting myself, working multiple jobs. At first it was just, it was just alcohol. And it's real easy if you're an alcoholic or an addict to like kind of blend in in an environment like that, because everybody's wild.
Yeah.
I mean, even like the mellow kids are wild at this place. Okay. And everybody's in college. Like you don't see a human being over the age of, 25 for months on end, unless you're on campus and it's your professors or something. And it's just nonstop party. It was fun for a while. And then that last year up there, it was not fun anymore. And I think that was the first time in my life where I started to try to control my drinking. It had never even dawned on me before. And when I like, just to give you a little snapshot, I drank alcoholically from the get-go, like blacked out, fall down, puker, crier, fighter.
Nice.
Just hot mess, right? And I seemed to be, I could turn on the charming personality, the next morning when I was sober, and somehow managed to keep the friends and the relationships,
interesting.
And people were, I don't know. But all of that started to kind of fall apart, my last year up at school. And I started anyway. So I started to try to control and enjoy my drinking. And there were other substances, friends of alcohol, as I like to call it, that were really taking a front seat, and alcohol was taking a back seat. And that brought me down really fast. And then, I was living with like a boyfriend, and I wasn't talking to any of my roommates anymore, who were like my best friends. And just like kind of holding on for dear life, I feel like. And I would tell myself, tonight I'm only going to go out to the bar and have a couple drinks. I had never, ever done that before in my life, but I thought, oh, well, today's the day. Of course I can do that. Like that's within my power.
Yeah, interesting.
And over and over and over and over again, I came to learn that that's not possible for me. Or I'd say, I'm just going to go out and just have a couple of drinks and no other stuff. And then it'd be like 7:00 the next morning and the birds are chirping. This is what recovering alcoholics and drug addicts will talk about, is the sound of the birds.
Interesting.
In the morning when you are messed up and
from a binge from the night before.
From a bender the night before, and everything's wearing off, and you are at that demoralized, horrible place, and the frickin' birds start chirping, and the neighbor across the street is getting in his car to go to work like a normal functioning member of society. And you're sitting there with whoever these like lower companions are that you became friends with the night before. Oh my God. And I had so many of those mornings. And again, I would say, how did I get here? How did I get here? How did I get here? And I look around, and now even my friends who partied a lot were like, are you okay? Like I started to like started to separate myself from like the hard partiers, and I started to like move into like another category, right? Which is now, I didn't know at the time, but is, alcoholism, like textbook disease of alcoholism. And I didn't know that that's what I had, though. I thought I was just a bad person. I thought I was just a weak person. I thought I just needed to like go to therapy, and not that there's anything against therapy. I love therapy, but I thought I could just go to therapy and would fix whatever was wrong with me. And then I wouldn't drink like that anymore, which now on the other side of it, I know that that's not how it works. Right. Like
definitely not.
Yeah.
Well, addiction, I think most people view it as like, because in addiction, there's always like a substance, right? But it's like they look at it as, I'm addicted to this, but they don't look at it like it's a disease.
Right.
And it really is. Yeah. And it does take you to a level of darkness, because I can relate to every single one of your stories with my past. I always say because my first business was a pharmaceutical rep for the streets. So it's like, check,
Yes.
everything that you've done. But it does take you to a place, you know, where most people, when you're in it, you don't know you're there.
Right.
Right. And then there is that level of like, yeah, you know, therapy could possibly help it, you know, it does to a point. Right. But I think community and being around a community of people that is on a journey, when you realize it, that you're like, oh shit, I'm in this black hole. How do I get out of it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you're seeking for that, then you
Mm-hmm.
find your community, which I believe that you did.
Yeah. And I'll just kind of talk in a general way about it, but I did end up, you know, going to I finally had enough after, you know, a year of this, like dragging along the bottom. And one day, I was home on a winter break and my dad actually called me, and I was like literally like the middle of the day, like running around on the beach, like drunk, like not like having a day at the beach, just anyway. And at
You
that,
were having a day
oh
at the
my
beach.
God.
Yeah.
And at that point, like I was so intoxicated all the time that I was losing days and brain cells. Like
Yeah.
I didn't know what was real and what was false. Like I'd wake up in San Diego and be like, have I been here since New Year's? I think I might have gone home to Ventura. Like,
Oh, shit.
like messed up. My timeline was messed up. Anyway, so at the end of this, so my parents, because I was home for a break from school, my parents got to witness this like escalation of my partying. And anyway, one day my dad called me and said, you need to come home and we need to talk about your drinking. And my dad's kind of like, I love him, but he's not like a let's face this type of stuff head on. But something spoke to him that day and he was called me and was like, you need to get home now. So I came home and I just planned on, you know, walking in and telling them some bullshit and leaving. And I was always giving people bullshit at that point. And I don't know what it was. I say God had other plans for me that day because I sat down and I just told them everything. I told them about the drugs. I told them about how miserable I was. I told them, you know, I had I said the first honest thing that I had probably said to anybody in years. And I said, I don't know what I've got, but I don't want it anymore. Right. And what I had was alcoholism, but I didn't know it at the time. And so my parents, being the wonderful, supportive people that they are, they got me into a 90-day outpatient program. And it was there that I was like simply educated about alcoholism as a disease, and was there obviously with other people who were in the same, you know, the same situation that I was in and going through the same stuff. And it was the first time where I could finally I was able to put a name to whatever this thing was. It wasn't that I was just a bad person. It wasn't that I was just, you know, couldn't get my shit together like everybody else. That I had an actual disease that centers in my mind. And when I ingest a drop of alcohol, it becomes my master.
Yeah.
Like, and that's from the age of 14, you know? And so I felt relief actually when I had that, when I was simply educated about what it was that I was likely going through, likely experiencing, was like true alcoholism. And so anyway, so like talking about community, that's where I first found a community. And then through that outpatient program, you know, we were required to go to 12-step meetings. So then I found a 12-step program and I've been there ever since. And I'll have 19 years of sobriety next week.
That's huge.
Freaking crazy.
Damn, next week?
Next week,
oh, shit.
the 29th.
This is a birthday celebration. Heck yeah.
So I was 24 then. Well, I was 22 then, and then had about like 2.5 years of sobriety. And then I relapsed and some real shit went down.
Oh.
And so since then, I've been sober. So that's 19 years. And that community and I want to share in a general way because like you probably know from the things that you've done, but you know, there's kind of a code that 12 steppers are supposed to abide by. Mm-hmm. And we're supposed to share in a general way
Yep.
at the level of press, radio, and film.
Yep.
And nowadays it translates to podcasts and social media. So I'm not going to get into the details, too much, but you could probably guess, you could probably, figure out what I'm talking about. But, so that community, I found, my people there.
Yeah.
And going through the same stuff, dealing with the same problem, and it has the same solution, and it saved my life 100%.
So now because your involvement in fitness, how has that helped structure your sobriety life?
Mhm.
And then, because there is a point in any program where then once you receive the help, then you turn around and then give it back.
Mm-hmm.
So how has fitness played a huge role in all
In that
yeah.
being of service? When I first moved home from college, and I was at that major turning point where I'd put school on hold. I was supposed to go back to school and finish that last couple semesters, and I ended up staying at home and going to rehab, like I said. And at that time, there was this little gym down the street from my parents' house, and my mom went down to check it out, and she signed us up. She signed me up, and she, because I was like, I was at home, and my life had changed so dramatically, like overnight. Like I said, I'm at this huge party school where you don't even see a grown up for weeks on end, and now I'm on my parents' couch again, and going to rehab, going to outpatient rehab, and like only drinking coffee. I hadn't had a cup of just coffee in years because I was just always drinking alcohol.
Wow.
Wow. So it was like this totally foreign, crazy experience. And I had no job. I had no school. It was like, this was my life now, was like trying to stay sober one day at a time. And so my mom, thought she probably, because I'd always liked to work out. I had worked out, while I was at school and whatnot, but I loved fitness. And so my mom thought this would be good for her mental and physical well-being at this point in her life. So I'm going to sign her up for this at the gym. And so I went to the gym, and there was a trainer there, and his name was Lyle. And I started kind of training with him. And then he was like, you should do this. I told him like what I was going through at the time, and like, oh, thanks for the session. I got to go drive to TO and be in rehab for 3 hours. I'll be here tomorrow.
Right.
And he was great. He said, you should do this. You don't have anything else going on. And so it was then so I first got like certified, and I picked up my first few clients at this little gym, and I really loved it. And I ended up getting tons of clients. And that was totally a way to give back and stay in, aside from the meetings, which are obviously vital, and doing the 12 steps and being a part of that, 12-step community specifically. This was like the way I could give back and stay in a healthy frame of mind when I was outside of meetings and outside of my 12 hours of outpatient rehab, for the week. And so, and it gave me confidence. It was something that I was just good at. And I had felt like such a piece of shit for so long. Because I was, that it gave me confidence. I felt like it gave me some self-respect. I started regaining things like that, and things that I had like been without for so long. And yeah, it was great. It was perfect. It was perfect timing. Came in right at the time in my life when I needed it. And so I kept training, and I trained a lot of different places while I was staying sober those first few years. And then I worked other jobs off and on because I did go back to school, and I finished school at CSUN, and I got a degree in journalism. And then I brag. And then I went and got my MBA.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
I'm not doing shit with any of that right now, but
you are the master of your household. What are you talking about? Who cares what the degree is in?
I know. No,
You are owning it.
yeah. No, that was huge because I'd always felt like, you know, yes, I had stopped school abruptly to get sober, which was a very worthy cause because honestly, if I had continued on the path that I was, I don't think that I would have been here a year or two later.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like going down fast. And so obviously it was worth putting college on hold to go and get sober and have a brand new life. But I also felt like, oh my God, I'm never going to finish school now, and and like, just beating myself up about it. But I did with the help of, my friends and family and the government with some financial aid. And anyway, so I got different, as a result of graduating college and whatnot, I got different jobs, but I think I was like almost always doing some kind of personal training. It's the thing that's been constant. I've done all sorts of stuff. I worked for a state assemblyman and would run all over the county, showing up for him and presenting certificates and doing ribbon cuttings and like,
fun.
It was wild.
Yeah.
Speaking in front of the board of supervisors and like, totally different in like a suit.
Yeah.
But like,
awesome.
My heart is here, right? My heart is in workout shoes and yelling at people in the gym and building those relationships. So I just always kind of default back to that, I feel like. Yeah. And then when I had the opportunity, my husband, love him, was like, he's a maniac at work and he does well in real estate. So he was like, you want to have your mommy workout business at home? You go, you do it. And I was like, so I'm really grateful that I had the opportunity to do Tribe Fitness and spend that time with my kids in their early childhood and make all of those connections. But I don't think I'm going to do another kind of work ever again. I mean, I work sort of with my husband now, but that's just because I'm trying to be a nice wife.
Yeah. And he needs the help.
And
among all the other hats that you wear, like, why not?
Yeah,
it's like you take care of all the kids, they go to all the sports, all that stuff. So what's one more hat?
What's one more hat?
Yeah. I mean, you can wear like 18, so it's fine.
It's good. I try to, feel forced to be well-rounded at this point.
But I think like in, where you're such an asset in not just in my life, but then our community, it's, I feel like most people when they start a fitness journey don't realize like where they're currently at in life, right? Mm-hmm. Like, and how it can play a role in fixing your future. Cause they're like, oh, I'm just going to go to the gym to work out. Right. And this is why I hate the big box gym culture, because it's just, they don't care if you show up. They don't know your name. You could show up for a year every single day. The front desk person will probably remember your name. But then it's like, you're on the journey alone. Right. But it's like when you're here, when you're in a place where we are so invested in people's lives, because I don't want people just to come here just to work out. Like, I want people to come here and be vulnerable and connect with all of us. Cause it's not just me, it's our whole team, to, feel like they belong, because I think in a big area of like, when you're at your lowest, I mean, there's no better feeling of being alone than that.
Right.
Because like, it's a darkness that like most people don't even experience, but then, then they mostly, if they survive that.
Right. And like a darkness that the majority of people actually never get to climb out of.
Exactly.
And so
I think that's huge, because like, there's people say like, oh, we hit rock bottom. But like every phase in your life, you always hit a rock bottom, because if you don't, like, how are you going to grow? How are you going to grow to the next phase of your life without that?
Right.
Because there's always a ceiling, right? That ceiling is just the rock bottom of the next level.
Totally.
So it's like, and that's a huge thing of what like fitness plays a role in, like how I view it. And my daughter says this all the time, because it's like, I always ask her like, do you know why daddy works out? And she goes, yes, because it's your medicine. Right. Because I think like without fitness, without feeling, I always call it dose. You know what dose stands for? Is dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins, which is like all the feel good chemicals of what exercise does. And it kind of like, I wish that there was a better way to brand fitness as like an antidepressant.
Yeah.
And for like doctors to be like, hey, if you do X, Y, and Z, then this will happen, versus like, here's this antidepressant pill, here's this, go continue to live your life the way that you are, because it obviously isn't working.
Right.
You know, because like, again, most people come to a gym or start into fitness not knowing what to do, not knowing where to start, and then most of the time get discouraged and never continue in the first place, right?
Right.
Because they're like, oh, I'll go 3-4 weeks and see some results, but then if the scale doesn't move, and then, you know, then most of the time they don't continue.
Right. And I think it's also like, at that point, people feel like it reaffirms what they probably already feel about themselves, right? Because a lot of people who come in are overweight, and you know, there's more to it than just being overweight. You know, people have some stuff going on, and I would imagine that if you don't have like the community and the connection here, and get to think of it like you're starting a new lifestyle, you're just there to lose a few pounds, and you're doing it by yourself at a big box gym, like you said. It's hard to do.
Yeah, very
hard to even get those tangible physical results. And so then if you don't, I think people probably assume that there's something wrong with them, right? It just reaffirms that they
are
failing at something, right?
And I believe that like where community and connection plays like probably one of the biggest important roles is because, you know, you hung around partiers, addicts that served your addiction, right? Versus now you're hanging around other addicts, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But we're all addicts of now progress in our life,
sure, and
positive progress. And, you know, but now it's like that addictive nature where it's like, you have to show up, you have to come, you have to get that feeling every day, or it's like the aftermath of not getting that workout in is like worse,
right,
than, you know, even like after a binge, you know, it just kind of spirals down out of control. I always say, like, you know, I get so hangry if I don't get my workout in, because I have to have that sense of feeling. But then if you're around that community of people that are supporting you, because I always say, like, we all have the same, we're all on the same journey. We just have different destinations, like different goals, different lifestyles, different needs, you know? And so, and like trying to find that community, which, you know, in most 12-step programs, that first one you go to might not be the right community for you,
sure,
which is, I think, like in my case, the one that I went to, like the first time I ever did was not the right one. So it really discouraged me, because I'm like, I cannot be here. These are not my people. It took me 2.5, almost 4 years later to,
somebody's at the door.
That's fine. It took 4 years later to find the right community, you know, that will suit my needs.
Right.
You know, and I think most people, even in fitness, like they'll go try one gym, they'll get discouraged, and then they'll just give up and go back to their same lifestyle. But it's like building a connection with people. I always say, like, a gym like ours, or any like small community-based gym, is the best investment in yourself, because it's the only investment that has a guaranteed return, because it's not a financial return. It's like literally a return on life, time, and like a much brighter future. You know, it's like most of the time, like I always talk about this a lot too. It's like in like traveling, like, does a travel agent tell you the stress that you're going to go through from getting where you're at to your destination? No, they talk about the destination. But it's like most of the time people are like, oh, I hate exercise. It's so hard. I hate dieting. I hate this. I hate that, because it is so hard. Yeah, but nobody likes to sit through TSA and get groped, you know, and wait for 4 hours for a 2-hour flight.
Right.
You know, to do the things that are necessary to get you to that goal. You know, but like they do it anyway. Right. But so
it's worth it, because
it is worth it, you know, and I feel like having stories like yours out there is so important, because it's like, you might think like your story is just like, oh, it might not be big to you because you lived it, but it is big to the people that like look up to you, right? Because now, like, you're not just a leader in the profession that you're in, but I mean, you're the type, yes, Melissa was like the ringleader to get people here, but you're the reason why they're all here, right? It's because it's like you built this tribe of people that, you know, that are all like-minded,
that to the ends of the earth.
Basically, yeah.
But you are the same.
But I think that's why we connect so well.
Yeah.
Right.
You are the same. And like, you have the same culture here that I, kind of without even knowing that it's what I wanted, had at my tribe.
Yeah.
Right. Only it was just women and pregnant chicks and babies. Right. And that was so rewarding. I never knew how much of a benefit. That's where I even became a believer in, it's not just about showing up and getting a great workout, which is obviously part of it, but like, it's not just about the physical results, and it's not just about learning how to diet and how to, do this and that. It's like the experiences that I had with my clients within the walls of my, home studio with our kids running around, and, women helping other women through some deep shit that women go through, over the course of a pregnancy and birthing children and raising young children. I mean, the support system that was created amongst that group of women is like, I mean, I know I can speak for myself, and I know that saved me. Yeah. And you talked about earlier, or that saved me from a lot of the pitfalls of like motherhood. Right. Yeah. And all that stuff. And I was able to help other women. Right. Which, as we talked about earlier, it was such a way for me to be of service outside of like 12-step. And there was a period of time where I actually stepped away from meetings, like after COVID, because I was so incensed and judged. I was casting so much judgment upon the people of the world during that time. And then, meetings went to Zoom. Yeah, virtual. And I was like, I don't need to do this. I've been sober forever. And which is like if your head is telling you that's your like disease, trying to like creep up on you and get a hold of you. But I unfortunately allowed myself to slip away from meetings over the course of like, God, maybe 3 years. Wow. And meanwhile, I'm popping out another kid like every 20 months. Okay. So I'm going through some stuff without meetings, which I need first and foremost. Cause if I'm not sober, I don't have any of this. I don't have anything. Like, so forget like having a good time with my mom friends working out in the gym. Like I can't even brush my teeth if I'm not sober, let alone take care of all these kids and whatnot. Anyway, so like, but what carried me through, I think that period of time was having those girls show up at my house every day and being of service to them. Yeah. In the absence of my first medicine, which is meetings. Yeah. And I think we all got each other through that. And what's so cool is that a lot of them are here. Yeah. Which is so, like you're saying, right? Yeah. They all like, thank God, Melissa, she's the one who gets shit done. She got us here, and slowly but surely, like my friend Nicole showed up today. This is her second class. Second day, yeah. And she has 3 little girls, and she used to bring them over to my house, and she was here today, and her 3 girls were with her running around. Yep. And it was like a flashback. Yeah. It was so cool. Like, so here's like one more who's here. And I think my point is that I feel like it's a very seamless transition for my girls to come here and be with you and your people, because you've been giving me, compliments about the vibe that I've created and whatnot, but you've done the exact same thing, and on a bigger scale and with men. We didn't allow men. Okay. So good for you.
Well, it's funny because like the majority of my career or owning this business, it's been like 90% women. Yeah. But now like there's a huge shift
which
in that.
Is so great.
Because like I think now with just like, through COVID, through like I call it the mental health kind of like the hashtag mental health era, because like mental health is such a broad term, but I think people utilize it as like just like clickbait to like get more views to already damage their mental health. Yeah. But in this side, like I think men do carry a lot of stuff that they just don't share, because they're like, we're men, we have to do X and be manly and take care of everything, and then like not have a community to support that. And and it's been quite difficult to get more men in here because it's like, oh, well, I don't do classes because they picture like, the scrunched
Yes,
80
Jane
socks,
Fonda.
yes, scrunched socks and the Bosu balls.
Doing leg lifts all day.
Totally. When it's totally
Although
not
I
that.
do make them put on the booty bands.
Yeah.
And I tell them like, it's okay. Men need big booties too. They're like
For
the
sure.
biggest muscle group in the body. Like you got to work it.
Yeah.
They're funny.
But that's, but I think that that's now the cultivation of like now people truly taking care of their health, like, and more along the physical side. It's actually not even the physical, it's the mental. Cause like, who cares if you look good naked if you hate what you see in the mirror?
Totally.
Like, so it doesn't matter what you look like. And, and that's that now, like the Instagram big box culture is like, oh, if I don't look like this girl, then I'm a failure.
It's terrible.
Right. Because in the end, that's not the case. Cause I've had so many people that have like run marathons and done things that they've never thought was possible,
Right.
and I think like having, and I'm definitely the generation of the participation medal. Right. But I love that because it's like, I don't care if I'm last place. It's a sense of pride that I did something and I accomplished it because I believed I could.
Totally.
And I think most people, they're like, oh, again, I'm just going to lose weight to look better. Right. But then in the end, like most people come here, they start here for that, but then they don't stay here for that. They stay here for like the everyday progress,
Personal growth.
Yeah.
And having their mind blown by some of the stuff that they can do. Right?
Totally.
And
right?
I love that there's so many people here who do the Spartans and do the marathons and the Ironman competition. It's like, you can't swing a dead cat here without hitting someone who's done a freaking Ironman. And that is impressive. And like, I know it's just like, that's where you're also great about, motivating or forcing as
I mean, it's definitely a form of
say.
manipulation, but it's a good form.
Right? But it's because it's good for them in the end. They thank you for it later.
Totally.
Right?
Totally.
I think, it's just a super impressive group of people, but they're all here because of the energy that is at the top, which is you.
Yeah. And I think that most, again, because I can tell when people come in, and just even when I meet people in like just in public, it's not just in my business, but it's like if I'm going to have a connection with them, because I'm a feeler. So I forgot I know you sent me some tests that I had to do.
Yeah. Oh, don't even get me
but
going.
Like I think I'm an ENFJ.
Oh no, that wasn't the one I sent.
No,
yes.
There's a personality test, but it's something about like a feeler and a connector, because it's like I know if I'm gonna like, just like your friend that showed up. Like I had a great conversation with her first day. I was like, okay, she's a guaranteed in, but she's also like-minded. She's your people. She's our people, but it's like, and I know if they're going to be a good fit here or not, because it's like, I don't just want people to come and like just work out and go home and live the life that they've been living. Like I want people to like grow and like really push the limits of what's possible in their life, with kids, without kids, with marriage, without marriage. Like, because I think that you kind of get stuck in that realm of like, oh, well, this is the life that God gave me and it is what it is. Like, no, like you have a choice.
Right.
You don't need to be as extreme like me and sell everything and, try to build a business and like make sure
live
that
in a bus on the beach.
Live in a bus on a beach, part-time.
In a van down by the river.
Yeah, I love it. But that's the thing. It's like, but you can cultivate a life that you can dream of when you're around a group of people that like have this motivation to like, never go back because of where you were to now where you are. It's like you compare. Yes, that might've been fun in the moment, but long-term you're going to end up 6 feet under, right? Because I would say at least 80 of the people that don't make it out, that's where they end
100%.
up. And so, versus like now you've cultivated a life around fitness, and now all your kids are active. Now all your kids watch you work out. So now being where you're at in your life, like what would be like the best advice that you can give to somebody like that thinks they don't have the time, that thinks that like they couldn't commit, or they're thinking of every excuse possible not to start? Like what would be in your position? Because technically you have every excuse that everybody has, and they're not excuses for you.
Sure. I think that I would tell somebody, that just to be open-minded and willing, right? And that getting fit is great, but it's about so much more than that, and that the benefit will pay off. And sometimes people don't want to act because they can't see or feel the benefit right away. And it takes a leap of faith, and it takes trusting what the people who've gone before you have to say. And I know people say they don't have time. I think people also expect that they're supposed to do it perfectly. Yeah. That's definitely something that I would say is like, do the best you can with what you have. Yeah, right. And that, sure. And that if somebody, you're not, people aren't going to, people who, and I don't just want to put it on weight, right? But, people who are overweight or people who just feel like shit physically, mentally, emotionally, you're not just going to wake up tomorrow and be like, oh, I don't give a shit about that anymore. I'm fine. It's not going to happen. Yeah. So you have to figure out how to take some action toward feeling better, whether in whatever it is, because people show up at a gym either because, mostly honestly because they feel like shit in some way or another. If it's their first time coming into fitness, right? Coming from another gym or another place or whatever, it's the one thing. But like most people don't come here like on a winning streak. Yeah. Who are trying fitness for the first time or who are giving this fitness thing a try for the first time. There's tons of excuses, but there's tons of excuses to not do anything. Yeah. Right. I don't know. That wasn't really concrete advice, but I think like,
well, look at it this way, not to cut you off, but it's like, if you never took that first step to go to a meeting or go to rehab or go whatever, you're now 19 years, 15, 19 years.
Almost. Yeah.
So 19 years of like, and I'm sure it's gone by like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, all you really do have to do is take that first step 100%. And then believe in yourself that you're worth it, because everybody has the time. Like we all have the same time of the day. Time is the most bullshit like excuse that I cannot stand. Like, oh, I'm busy, I have work. I'm like, dude, we all have for work.
Right.
Like, and I hate to say it because like most people will like that I'll have like either sales calls with or just even just going back, like talking out in public. Like it doesn't have to be a sale, but like it's time is the number one thing. But it's like, okay, but you're willing to risk the length of your life shorter.
Because you can't find an hour.
Right. Even less than an hour. We have people that come in only for 30 minutes because that's all that they have.
And it doesn't have to be 7 days a week either. No. I mean, you come here a few days a week and then it just builds upon itself because you start to see the results, and not just physical, but you start to just that first workout, that first day when you're walking out of the gym, nobody ever says, I wish I hadn't done that. Right. Never. And like when people are starting to get all crybaby during class, and I'm like, nobody ever said, none of you are going to leave this room today. Yeah. Despite the fact that you're suffering and giving me dirty looks. Yep. And say, I wish I hadn't showed up today. Yeah. Never. I would bet 100. I'm not 80% sure of that. I am 100% sure of that. That's what my husband always says. I'm not 80% sure. I'm not 90. I'm 100% sure. Yeah. So there you go. But yeah, just that one little foot in the door, that one little bit of willingness, one day could change your whole life. Right. Yeah. And it did for me in a lot, different ways.
But that's where it's like, most people look at you now, right? And like they're like that are coming in, meeting you, that you're in great shape. You got 4 kids. You're a coach, or you're a business partner with not a partner, business. You work for your husband, so like you do all this stuff.
But that's fine.
I'll call you a business partner. I'll give you the title, whether he does it or not. But then it's like they look at you like you're like the overnight success, because it's taken you like 19 years to like put that in. And people, same thing, like they see like all my medals, because I'm a bling whore and I love all my medals. But they're like, oh, well, you've been doing this for so long. I mean, yeah, but like, do you know what blood, sweat, and tears went into all that? Because it's like, I don't want to, I will do whatever I have to do to never go back to what I was. Because it's like, you never want, like those habits and that type of lifestyle served no purpose in my life. And it's like most people that are living that type of life just don't realize that
Right.
because they're not willing to try.
They don't
because
know what they don't know.
They don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
And it's believing. And I always say this, like, you know, the whole, like, every person is courageous. And then I believe in you until you believe in yourself, because I think that's what's gotten people, I'll use that as that's my manipulation to like get people to try things that they didn't think were possible. They're like, oh, I never want to run. And then I have people running marathons. I never wanted to swim, and now we're doing triathlons or whatever. It doesn't really matter. Or really big hikes. We have a group of guys going next week to Mount Gargianamo. I don't even know how to say it, but it's like it's an 11,000 foot summit.
That's cool.
It's a 22-mile hike. And so it's like, and these are guys that came in here 50 pounds overweight, who just wanted to like
lift weights and
really not even, they just wanted to lose weight. They didn't care how they did it.
Right.
You know, and now like these people have a new zest of life. We have Blake, who just ran a 50-mile run, who before here never ran. Yeah. You know, and he's been here for like probably within a year. Yeah. Like, it's amazing to be around those types of people to then accelerate.
Who are like unlocking these things. Yeah. Right. Like,
because it's like, okay, I'm, you know, like you see all these people that you look up to, but then you're never in the same room with them. But then all of a sudden you get into the room with people like that. Then there's like your ability becomes unstoppable as long as you believe that you're capable. Right. You know, and I think that's the biggest reason why community is so important, on top of just showing up for yourself, even if you only have 20% to give.
That's it for today's episode of Becoming Epic. If something stirred in you today, don't let it fade. Take one step, one rep, one bold move. You're not here to play small. You're here to rise, rebuild, and become who you were born to be. Remember, average is easy, epic is earned, and the only way out is through. I believe in you, but it's time you believe in you. Subscribe, share, join the movement, and I'll see you in the next one. Now, go be epic.